I had started coaching first, and then I was one day I'd had my son, and so I had two small kids, and I wasn't doing the mindset stuff that I knew really worked, and I was on the treadmill, not a mistake probably, running one day, and there was some, all those big TVs that were airing a million different news shows with bad news stories. I just thought, oh my goodness, this is so depressing. Wouldn't it be great if I could just do the mindset stuff while I was working out? That would be really efficient. It honestly started as a mother looking for efficiency. Um, and then as I was running, I was like, well, maybe it could. Like, what if there was, somebody was here to just ask me questions, or what if I created a class where I would ask questions? And that was the day, even the name actually came. It would be motivational and exercise, Moticize. Oh, I'm gonna. So I would stop and I would write notes in my phone. And at the time I was coaching and I had an assistant, and I was working a little bit on a different project, but I mentioned it to her and she was like, that's interesting. We should try that. And I mentioned it to my husband and he loved the idea. So we started to beta test it. Got a group of people together and played around a lot with what were the questions that would really get you there? What worked? What did you need? And that was a process in and of itself. And then I finally kind of solidified that, and I made, I think, the last DVD known to mankind. It was right at the transition to apps. But I did. I made a DVD. And at the time, I was thinking exercise. I was like, I'm out of the gate on this is a new exercise program. We're going to revolutionize exercise. Maybe not. I think what I also learned was that not every exercise person really cares about mindset. But mindset, or people who are looking for a mindset change, are willing to do exercise or movement if it will make a difference. And right at that time, all of the information was exploding, the science around exercise in the brain and how, neurogenesis, and you can rewire your brain. And we know all of the good feeling chemicals are out. It changes your mood. It reduces stress. It's a superpower. It really and truly is. It makes you more creative, more focused, more motivated. Incidentally, taps that part of your brain. And so I thought, well, if we're harnessing this and applying these questions, it's a winning kind of combination. And it appeared to be, because people were getting results. So I was already doing it. And then I wanted to expand. I wanted to get it out to more people. And it's a little bit of a heady concept, like, what is it? You're exercising and thinking at the same time? Like, kind of, yeah. It's like having a coach and a trainer in one. Um, and I thought having a book where people could actually read it, see it, experience it. I've got QR codes that take you to videos of one exercise with one mindset, just so you can feel what it's like. There are really 7 questions that guide you around a goal. And the first is to choose a goal. And if you don't know exactly, that's where the what if it were easy comes in. And it really, what if it were easy? People are like, but it's not easy. And I'm like, it's not about that. It's not about some Pollyanna. It's easy. Just think easy and it will be. It's really more of, what if it were? What would you do? Because inevitably, when I ask that question and people really sink into the answer, what they would do is different than what their thinking mind says they should do. And that's really where you're much more in alignment. That's where your heart is. That's where your core is. And when you get to that core place, things can fly much faster. So really addressing that, and then really spending a little time in imagining. I don't know if you've ever, the be do have kind of scenario, but sort of stepping into your imagination of, what does that look like? What does it feel like? Really allowing yourself, because I'm amazed, and it happens with myself too, sometimes, where people, you might have a big goal and they're like, oh, what does that look like? And automatically you kind of shut down. You're like, I don't know. It's like, it's almost, you need to be given permission to allow yourself to dream, let yourself go there, because there's a lot of energy and a lot of ideas and juice in that. probably as a writer, you automatically do this, but that's like the next step. And then we look at what do you have? And this again, I think this is probably the most underestimated question because second we have a big goal, you always look at what you don't have. What's the challenge? People are like, I really want to do this and this and this, but you know. And so it's moving the but aside and looking at what you have because when you start looking at what you actually have to make the goal happen, that's part of what will sometimes give you a little more confidence because you're like, oh, well, maybe I do know somebody, or maybe I do have some experience, or maybe I'm not as far behind as I think I am. Maybe I can do it. So it helps with that. And or it will give you a little more courage because you're going in with something as opposed to coming from a place of lack. And then we'll look at what do you need because then after you look at what you have, then you'll figure out what do you need. Maybe you need to research or reach out to somebody or figure out what's next. Uh, then we'll spend just a little time on what's stopping you because everybody knows that. And I actually was going to lose that part of the process, but I'm surprised at some of the breakthroughs that happen in there. I think people by that point in the process, they're getting more honest and they really figure out what's underneath what's stopping them. Because it's some form of a fear, but it may not be as specifically defined. And in that place, after you've gone through these other things, you kind of get to figure it out. And once you identify it, like many other things, it's easier to solve. Then we do a little burning process and replacing what's another belief that would support you better, that feels authentic, not just I can do it, which is still good, better than I can't. But sometimes we'll identify one that you can really relate to. And then we'll figure out an action because it's all great to imagine this, but you do need to get out there and do something. And so an action, and then I'll have you visualize the action. So it's almost like rehearsing it. And then we'll do some fun affirmations.